It usually begins quietly. You're sitting across from someone you love, someone who smiles just right, listens when you speak, and mirrors all your values. But something in your gut feels off. Not loud. Just off. You dismiss it, because they're so kind, so thoughtful, so emotionally intelligent. Months pass. And suddenly, your self-esteem has plummeted. You second-guess everything you say. You apologize constantly. You feel exhausted, but can't figure out why. You're caught in a storm you can't even see. This isn't just toxicity. This is covert narcissism, a silent saboteur of emotional connection. And you might be the perfect target, an empath, someone wired to love deeply, forgive quickly, and believe the best in people. But here's the brutal truth: covert narcissists weaponize your empathy against you. They don't need to shout, rage, or cheat to destroy your sense of reality. They just need to twist your emotional compass, quietly, steadily. Until you forget who you were before them. In this video, we will expose the psychology behind covert narcissism and how empaths get trapped in emotional exploitation. You'll learn what exactly makes covert narcissists so dangerous, why empathetic people are vulnerable to the cycle of emotional sabotage, how to identify red flags, even the soft, polite ones, why it's so hard to break free, and finally, how to protect yourself and heal. This isn't just knowledge. It's survival. Let's unmask the silent saboteurs, so they can't keep stealing peace from good-hearted people like you. This video is educational in nature and does not substitute for professional mental health diagnosis or treatment. If you or someone you love is in a harmful relationship, please seek support from a licensed mental health professional or local support resources. Section 2. Understanding the covert narcissist. Covert narcissists don't look like villains. They don't brag loudly or dominate every room. In fact, you might mistake them for deeply thoughtful people, reserved, soft-spoken, and sometimes even self-deprecating. That's the trick. They don't operate like overt narcissists, the ones obsessed with admiration and control in obvious ways. Instead, covert narcissists are masters of subtlety. Their manipulation is silent, their dominance emotional rather than aggressive. They use guilt instead of rage, silence instead of arguments, and pity instead of pride. Let's break down what sets them apart. 1. The mask of sensitivity. Covert narcissists often come off as shy, modest, or even insecure. They may talk about their traumas. They may act like no one truly understands them. This creates a perfect trap for empaths. Why? Because when someone appears vulnerable, your instinct is to care for them. But under that mask lies a person who secretly believes they are superior, more emotionally intelligent, more deeply misunderstood than others. They crave validation, but in subtle, addictive ways. 2. Passive control. Where overt narcissists might yell or lash out, covert narcissists control with emotional withdrawal. They might withhold affection when you don't comply, sulk or go silent after minor disagreements, make you feel guilty for having boundaries, weaponize their hurt feelings to keep you compliant. You'll often hear them say, "I just didn't expect you to be so selfish. I guess I care more than you do. You're too sensitive. I was just being honest." It's emotional warfare, quiet, confusing, and hard to name. 3. Hidden entitlement. Covert narcissists believe they deserve admiration, loyalty, and special treatment, but they won't say it outright. Instead, they expect you to just know. They'll feel wronged if you spend time with others. They'll feel abandoned if you don't drop everything for them. But when you need support, they're distant, distracted, emotionally absent. They frame themselves as victims when you call them out. You become the abuser, and they become the hurt one. This inversion of reality keeps you questioning your own perceptions. 4. Deep insecurity, masked as depth. Beneath their mask, covert narcissists often feel deeply inadequate. But rather than face that wound, they externalize it, blaming others for never understanding them, resenting successful or happy people, projecting their own darkness onto those around them. They may position themselves as too deep or too real for this world, romanticizing their pain while subtly degrading yours. You'll end up being the one always comforting them, always adjusting your needs to make them feel okay. 5. Reactive gaslighting. When you try to set boundaries, they don't argue. They sigh. They get sad. They say, "I can't believe you'd think I'd ever hurt you," and suddenly, you're the one apologizing. This is reactive gaslighting. It doesn't deny your reality directly, but it manipulates your emotional response to it. You feel guilty for asking for more. You feel selfish for needing space. You feel confused about whether you were ever right in the first place. Covert narcissists are dangerous not because they explode, but because they erode. They corrode your sense of self without ever raising their voice. And when the damage is finally visible, they'll already be painting you as the unstable one. Section 3. Empaths, the ideal target. Not everyone becomes entangled with a covert narcissist. But empaths? Empaths are magnets for them. If you're an empath, you feel everything deeply, other people's joys, other people's wounds, even emotions they haven't spoken aloud. You care. You give. You see the best in people, even when they're hurting you. And that's exactly what makes you vulnerable. Let's talk about the psychology of why empaths become prime targets, and how their greatest gifts can be turned against them. 1. Empaths are natural healers. Empaths often carry a strong belief that love can fix anything. They see brokenness in others and feel a responsibility to mend it. To the covert narcissist, this is a goldmine. They know if they show just enough emotional pain, the empath will lean in. They'll explain, excuse, and justify the narcissist's behavior, over and over. Maybe they're just wounded. Maybe if I love them harder, they'll change. But love isn't therapy. And empathy isn't a license for someone else to harm you. 2. Empaths hate conflict. The covert narcissist thrives on indirect control. Empaths, who often avoid confrontation to keep peace, become easy to manipulate through guilt, withdrawal, and emotional ambiguity. So when the narcissist goes cold, the empath blames themselves. When they get gaslit, they second-guess their reality. When they feel neglected, they offer more love instead of asking why it's not being returned. This pattern keeps them locked in cycles of confusion and emotional chasing. 3. Empaths internalize other people's emotions. If a narcissist is angry, the empath feels guilty. If the narcissist is sad, the empath feels responsible. If the narcissist fails, the empath feels they should have helped more. This over-identification with others creates a loss of emotional boundaries. It becomes impossible to tell where the narcissist's feelings end and the empath's begin. And that's exactly what the narcissist wants: enmeshment, not connection. 4. Empaths are often trauma survivors. Many empaths grew up in homes where love had to be earned, where one parent was emotionally volatile or unavailable. This creates codependent patterns: people-pleasing, overfunctioning, tolerating emotional neglect, associating chaos with connection. So when a covert narcissist shows the same emotional inconsistency, it feels familiar. Not healthy, but familiar. 5. Empaths want to be seen as good. Here's the hidden trap. The covert narcissist often frames boundaries as cruelty. If you try to say no, they say, "Wow. You really don't care about me. You're not who I thought you were. I guess I was wrong about you." And because empaths deeply fear being selfish or cold, they back down. They try to prove their goodness by shrinking themselves to stay in the relationship. But there is nothing good about tolerating emotional abuse. Love without self-respect is not kindness, it's a slow erasure of self. The more empathetic you are, the more careful you must be. Because not everyone deserves access to your heart. And not everyone who appears broken is trying to heal. Section 4. The cycle of emotional exploitation. It never starts with cruelty. It starts with magic. They see you. They study you. They reflect back the version of love you've always hoped for. And just like that, the trap begins, not with a bang, but with warmth. That's phase 1 of the cycle. Let's break down the psychological phases of covert narcissistic exploitation, so you can begin to recognize where you might be inside it, or where someone you love might be stuck. Phase 1, Idealization, the perfect mirror. At first, they adore you. Not just love, you feel worshipped. They ask deep questions. They seem fascinated by your thoughts, your pain, your dreams. They mirror your morals, your music taste, your favorite books. It's uncanny. Almost too perfect. That's because it is. They're building a false self just to win you over. They don't love you for who you are, they love how well you reflect their own fantasy. You don't know it yet, but you're being emotionally groomed. Phase 2, Subtle devaluation, the shift you can't name. Then, something changes. A weird silence after you express your needs. A joke that cuts a little too deep. A compliment that's now conditional. They say, "You used to be more fun. Why are you always so sensitive?" "I didn't mean it that way. You're overreacting." The warmth turns cold, but never all at once. Just enough to make you doubt yourself, not them. You begin to try harder. You overgive. You shrink. And that's exactly what they want. Phase 3, Emotional withdrawal, control through absence. This phase hurts more than anything. Suddenly, they're not available. They're distant. Distracted. Cold. They're going through something, and you shouldn't take it personally. But deep down, you feel abandoned, and you blame yourself. You start chasing their approval again. Trying to earn back the version of them you met in the beginning. That version never existed. But you're too invested to see that now. Phase 4, Confusion and gaslighting, losing your reality. By now, your self-trust is fading. You're constantly anxious, confused, and apologizing. You feel like everything is your fault, but you can't explain why. They'll say things like, "You're imagining things. You have trust issues. I'm doing my best. You're just never satisfied." You begin to mistrust your memory, your emotions, even your instincts. This is gaslighting, not just denying facts, but making you question your own sanity. Phase 5, Intermittent reinforcement, the hook, just when you're about to give up. They bring back the love. Suddenly, they're attentive again. Apologetic. Sweet. Maybe even crying. They remind you of how special this bond is. And you stay. Because now your nervous system is addicted to the pattern, starvation, then reward. It's the same mechanism used in abusive gambling cycles. You never know when the next win will come, so you keep playing, hoping. Phase 6, Discard or repeat the cycle. Sometimes, they leave. Other times, they stay and repeat the entire cycle, again and again, until you're too emotionally depleted to resist. If they do discard you, they often do it coldly. Without closure. Without explanation. They move on quickly, often to a new supply who looks eerily like you, someone they've likely been grooming behind your back. And you're left wrecked. Confused. Wondering if you were ever enough. You were. You still are. But they were never looking for love. They were looking for control. Emotional exploitation by covert narcissists isn't loud. It's quiet. Cyclical. Devastating. And the longer it goes on, the more it rewires how you see yourself. Section 5. Red flags and psychological tactics. Covert narcissists don't leave obvious scars. They leave confusion. They leave silence where your voice used to be. They leave you looking in the mirror and asking, "What happened to me?" The truth is, they don't take your love, they take your clarity. They dismantle your inner compass until your gut feelings feel like enemies. But the earlier you spot the signs, the stronger your chances of escaping the damage. Here are 10 red flags. And the psychological tactics that hide behind them. 1. Subtle guilt trips they rarely demand. Instead, they imply. You'll hear, "I guess I'll just stay home alone again. Don't worry about me, I'm used to being disappointed. You have your friends now. I'm just in the background." It sounds innocent. But it's emotional manipulation designed to create guilt, so you'll compromise your own needs. 2. Over-apologizing. From you if you find yourself constantly apologizing. For your feelings, your tone, your boundaries, you might be in a covertly manipulative dynamic. Covert narcissists flip the script. Even when they hurt you, they make you feel like the aggressor. 3. Backhanded compliments. They say, "You actually look nice today. You're smarter than I thought." Not bad, for someone like you. These are not compliments. They're covert put-downs, wrapped in a smile. Over time, they destroy your self-worth without you even noticing. 4. Victim complex. Everything happens to them. They talk endlessly about how others hurt them, abandoned them, betrayed them. They may even cry when confronted, but it's performative. They use victimhood to avoid responsibility, and to keep you feeling like the mean one when you set limits. 5. Projection. If they accuse you of being selfish, disloyal, or manipulative, it's often a reflection of their own behavior. They are projecting their inner world onto you. It keeps you on the defensive. It makes you try harder to prove them wrong. 6. The silent treatment. As punishment. Covert narcissists don't fight fair. They shut down. When you express hurt, they respond with cold silence, disinterest, or withdrawal. This isn't avoidance, it's control. They know silence will trigger your fear of abandonment. 7. Love bombing. After you pull away, if you try to leave or establish distance, they might suddenly become romantic, attentive, or apologetic. This is not change. It's a tactic to regain control. As soon as you let them back in, the cycle restarts. 8. You're too sensitive. A common phrase when you call out their harmful behavior. This isn't feedback. It's gaslighting, meant to make you doubt your emotional responses. Soon, you stop speaking up altogether. 9. Inconsistency. One day, they're tender. The next, distant. Then warm again. This inconsistency creates emotional chaos, a psychological push and pull that mimics addiction. You crave the version of them from the beginning, even as they become emotionally colder. 10. They make you doubt your instincts. If you feel like you can't trust your own judgment anymore. If you second-guess your feelings constantly. That's not a you problem. That's a pattern of psychological erosion designed to keep you dependent. Red flags are rarely loud. They're soft, subtle, repetitive. But when you start stacking them, a very clear picture emerges. Section 6. The hidden toll on victims. People often ask, "Why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you speak up sooner? Why did you let it go on for so long?" But covert narcissistic abuse doesn't look like chaos from the outside. It looks like exhaustion. It looks like someone losing themselves slowly, quietly, behind their own eyes. Because the real damage? It happens inside. Let's walk through the psychological, emotional, and even physical toll this form of manipulation takes on victims. Especially empaths. 1. Cognitive dissonance. You remember the good version of them. You remember how kind, how understanding, how soulful they were in the beginning. And yet, they've hurt you deeply. Repeatedly. Your brain tries to make sense of these two versions, loving and cruel, and it can't reconcile them. This internal conflict leads to constant overthinking, anxiety, obsessive rumination, paralysis. When making decisions, you start to question what's real and what's not. 2. Fragmented self-identity. Over time, you don't recognize yourself. You used to laugh more. You used to feel grounded. Now, you feel drained. On edge. Small. Why? Because you've spent so long bending to someone else's reality, your own identity has eroded. You forget how to say, "I don't like that. That hurt me. This is not okay." The longer it goes on, the more your sense of self dissolves. 3. Emotional numbness. At some point, your body can't sustain the emotional roller coaster anymore. You stop crying. You stop feeling joy. You stop reacting. This isn't healing, it's shutdown. Your nervous system enters survival mode. You dissociate. You live on autopilot. Not because you're weak, but because it's the only way to endure something that keeps breaking you invisibly. 4. Trauma bonding. You know they're hurting you. You know something isn't right. But you can't walk away. Why? Because you're bonded through intermittent reinforcement, praise and punishment in unpredictable waves. Your body becomes chemically addicted to the hope of love returning. You wait for the apology. You crave the softness after the storm. This is not love. It's trauma. 5. Hypervigilance and anxiety. You start predicting moods. You scan their tone, their texts, their silences. Your body is always alert, trying to prevent the next emotional blow. This chronic hyper-awareness rewires your nervous system. Even after the relationship ends, you flinch at kindness. You don't trust calm anymore. Because for too long, calm was just the quiet before the next hit. 6. Shame and isolation. Covert narcissists are masters of eroding your support system. They subtly turn you against friends, family, even therapists. They say, "They don't understand us. They're jealous of what we have. I can't believe you'd talk about me behind my back." And so, slowly, you isolate. Not because you want to, but because it starts to feel safer to stay silent. Then comes the shame. How could I fall for this? Why didn't I see it sooner? You feel stupid. Weak. Ashamed. But you are none of those things. You were targeted for your goodness. And used because of your empathy. Covert narcissistic abuse doesn't just end when the person leaves. The grief, the confusion, the internal war, it can last long after they're gone. But it's not permanent. And you are not broken. Section 7. Why it's so hard to leave from the outside. It seems simple, just leave. Just block them. Just walk away. But if you've been entangled with a covert narcissist, you know it's not that easy. In fact, leaving can feel harder than staying, even when you're breaking inside. So why do so many people stay in these relationships? It's not weakness. It's not stupidity. It's survival. Let's break it down. 1. Trauma bonding, the love-pain loop. When love and pain are delivered in cycles, your brain gets hooked on unpredictability. One moment they pull away. Then they give you just enough affection to make you stay. You chase the high of the love you had in the beginning, like a gambler chasing the next win. Over time, this creates a chemical addiction to the relationship. The body becomes wired to crave the relief that follows the abuse. That's why even after the worst moments, you still long for them. You're bonded to the one who broke you. 2. Hope for change. Covert narcissists are experts at giving you just enough to keep the dream alive. They say, "I know I've been distant. I want to work on us. You bring out the best in me. Don't give up on us. I'm in therapy now. Please don't walk away." You remember the good moments. You think, maybe they're healing. Maybe this time will be different. But the truth is, you're falling in love with their potential, not their reality. Hope becomes a trap. 3. Fear of being misunderstood. They've twisted your story so much that even you start to question it. They've told mutual friends that you're overreacting. They've cried in front of others while making you look like the unstable one. If you leave, they'll play the victim. They'll tell everyone it was your fault. So you stay, not because you don't see the truth, but because you're afraid no one else will. 4. Isolation and dependency. By the time you're ready to leave, your world may feel very small. They've distanced you from your friends. Your family doesn't understand. You feel emotionally, financially, or even physically dependent. Leaving means rebuilding from scratch. And when you're emotionally exhausted, that feels impossible. So you tell yourself, I'll just stay a little longer, until I'm stronger. But that day keeps getting pushed back, until years have passed. 5. Fear of regret. What if you're wrong? What if they change for the next person? What if you were too sensitive, too demanding? Covert narcissists plant doubt so deeply that even when you try to walk away, you look over your shoulder wondering, did I make a mistake? That fear of regret is not your truth, it's a residue of their manipulation. You didn't fail. You survived something designed to be invisible. 6. You still love them, and this might be the hardest truth of all. You may still love them. You may still miss the person they pretended to be. You may still want to believe that the good times meant something. That's okay. That's human. But love is not enough to heal abuse. And loyalty to someone who keeps breaking you is not love, it's a trauma response. The reason it's so hard to leave is because the damage was never just about what they did. It was about what they made you believe about yourself. But here's the truth they never wanted you to know. You are allowed to walk away from what destroys you, even if you love them. Even if no one else understands. Even if it hurts. Section 8. Steps to protect yourself. Now that you understand the web of covert narcissism and empathic exploitation, it's time for the most important question: how do you protect yourself? Leaving or defending yourself emotionally isn't just about walking away. It's about building strength, boundaries, and clarity, step by step. Let's explore practical ways to safeguard your heart and mind. 1. Educate yourself. Knowledge is power. The more you understand covert narcissism and how empathy can be exploited, the less you will be vulnerable. Watch videos like this. Read trusted books on narcissistic abuse and recovery. Join support groups with people who have lived it. You're not alone. And learning the truth is your first shield. 2. Set clear boundaries. Boundaries are your emotional skin. They tell others what you will and won't accept. Start small, say no to things that drain you. Don't answer every call or message immediately. Protect your time and energy. When the covert narcissist tests your boundaries, and they will, stand firm. This is not selfish. It's survival. 3. Trust your gut instincts. Your intuition is your internal compass. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't ignore feelings of discomfort, confusion, or fear. Write them down. Reflect on them. Share them with a trusted friend or counselor. Remember, your feelings are valid, even if others tell you otherwise. 4. Limit or cut contact if possible. Reduce your exposure to the narcissist. This might mean ghosting or blocking them on social media, avoiding unnecessary meetings or calls, using gray rock techniques, responding with neutral, non-emotional answers. Minimizing contact protects your emotional energy and breaks the cycle of manipulation. 5. Build a support network. You can't do this alone. Reach out to trusted friends, family, or professionals. Join groups focused on emotional abuse recovery. Seek therapy with someone experienced in trauma and narcissistic abuse. Having people who validate your experience makes all the difference. 6. Prioritize self-care. Rebuilding after covert abuse requires nurturing your mind, body, and soul. Practice mindfulness or meditation. Journaling your thoughts and feelings. Physical activity to release stress. Creative outlets like art, music, or writing. Self-care isn't indulgent, it's essential healing. 7. Reclaim your identity. Start small. Say no more often. Express opinions freely. Make decisions based on your desires, not theirs. Rediscover your passions and dreams outside the relationship. You are more than their reflection or their supply. You are whole. 8. Seek professional help. Therapy or counseling can provide tools to heal, set boundaries, and restore your self-worth. Look for therapists who specialize in narcissistic abuse, trauma, or codependency. There is no shame in seeking help. In fact, it's one of the bravest steps you can take. Protecting yourself is not just about avoiding pain, it's about reclaiming your power, dignity, and joy. It's a journey, not a quick fix. But every step forward is a victory. Section 9. Healing and reclaiming your identity. Healing after covert narcissistic abuse isn't a simple fix. It's a journey through darkness into light, a process that demands patience, courage, and self-compassion. You may feel lost right now. You may feel fragmented, unsure of who you are beneath the weight of manipulation. But the truth is, your identity is not lost. It's waiting to be rediscovered. Let's walk through what healing looks like, and how you can reclaim your true self, piece by piece. 1. Acknowledge your experience without judgment. The first step to healing is to give yourself permission to feel everything. Grief for what was lost. Anger for the betrayal. Confusion for the mixed messages. Sadness for the wasted time. You don't have to minimize or explain away your pain. It's valid. It's real. Write down your story in your own words. Journal daily, even if it's just a sentence or two. This practice externalizes your emotions and helps untangle your thoughts. 2. Reconnect with your emotions. Years of manipulation may have taught you to shut down feelings to survive. Healing means slowly reawakening to your own emotional landscape. Try these gentle steps. Practice mindfulness, sit quietly and notice your breath and sensations without judgment. Label your emotions: I feel sadness, I feel anxious, or I feel hopeful. Allow yourself to cry, laugh, or express feelings in safe spaces. Emotions are your compass. Reclaiming them reconnects you to yourself. 3. Challenge the negative beliefs. Covert narcissists implant toxic messages like, "You're too sensitive. You don't deserve love. You're the problem." Recognize these as false narratives. When you catch yourself thinking these thoughts, pause and question them. Is this really true? What evidence do I have that contradicts this? How would I talk to a friend feeling this way? Over time, replace negative self-talk with affirmations rooted in truth, like, "I am worthy of respect. My feelings matter. I am learning and growing every day." 4. Set boundaries with compassion. Setting boundaries is a skill, not a punishment. Practice saying, "I need some time to think. I won't engage in conversations that disrespect me. I'm focusing on my healing right now." Boundaries protect your energy and build self-respect. Remember, you can be kind and firm at the same time. 5. Rebuild your support system. Isolation is one of the cruelest weapons of covert narcissistic abuse. Healing requires reconnecting with people who uplift and support you. Seek out friends who listen without judgment, support groups for survivors of emotional abuse, counselors or therapists who validate your experience. You don't have to carry this alone. 6. Rediscover your passions and purpose. Who were you before this relationship? What brought you joy? Healing means rekindling the interests and dreams that make you uniquely you. Try revisiting old hobbies or exploring new ones, volunteering or contributing to causes that matter to you, setting small, achievable goals to build momentum. These activities restore your sense of identity and self-worth. 7. Practice self-compassion daily. Healing isn't linear. Some days will feel like progress. Others, like setbacks. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend. Remember, mistakes don't erase progress. Healing takes time. You deserve patience and love, especially from yourself. 8. Embrace the power of therapy. Professional guidance can accelerate healing. Look for therapists trained in narcissistic abuse recovery, trauma-informed care, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR. Therapy provides tools to process trauma, rebuild self-esteem, and develop healthy relationship patterns. 9. Visualize your new self. Imagine the person you want to become, confident, free, whole. Visualization activates the brain's pathways for change. Spend time each day imagining, setting boundaries without guilt, loving yourself unconditionally, living without fear or anxiety, having healthy, respectful relationships. Believe that this self is possible. Because it is. 10. Celebrate every victory, no matter how small. Celebrate the wins. Did you say no today? Celebrate. Did you stand up for yourself? Celebrate. Did you feel joy, even for a moment? Celebrate. These victories build momentum toward your full recovery. Healing from covert narcissistic abuse is a radical act of self-love. It's reclaiming the parts of you that were overshadowed, erased, or silenced. It's a courageous journey toward becoming the whole, vibrant person you were always meant to be. As we reach the end of this journey, remember this: covert narcissism and empathic exploitation are silent saboteurs, destroying relationships, draining souls, and stealing lives one quiet moment at a time. But knowledge is power. By understanding the signs, the cycle, and the toll, you've already taken the first step toward reclaiming your life. You are not alone in this. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are a survivor. Your next steps: trust your instincts. Set healthy boundaries. Seek support and professional guidance. Prioritize your healing. Your freedom lies in your hands. A message of hope: healing is possible. Joy is possible. Love that respects and nurtures is possible. And it starts with you, choosing yourself. If this video resonated with you, please like and share it with anyone who might need it. Subscribe for more videos about healing, empowerment, and understanding human behavior. Comment below with your story or questions. Remember, your voice matters. Together, we can break the silence. Together, we can stop the silent saboteurs.